What is going on Facebook and YouTube? Appreciate you guys joining us here on another episode of On Another Line Live. Tonight, I am going to be joined by a special guest, Matt Robertson, who is an absolute hammer on the water. Bassmaster Classic qualifier last year. I've been doing a lot of research on the dude. First off, is a hammer on Kentucky Lake, but I want to get to joining him here in just a second. But he won 2 BFLs on Kentucky Lake last year in the same weekend. We're going to talk about that. If you guys have any comments, drop them below. I'll do my best to answer them. If they're for me, we'll get Matt obviously on here to talk about that. Any questions you have for him. So, without further ado, I'd like to bring in Mr. Matt Robertson. So, Matt, buddy, you're live, bud. What's going on, man? How's the weather like? What's the weather like down there in Kentucky?
Man, it's actually really nice right now. Beautiful, 70 degrees.
That's awesome. So again, as I was talking to you there before we went live, I know you probably get asked a million times, but as a bass angler, no matter what level you fish at, the end all goal is always to end up at the Bassmaster Classic. It's something we watch on the TV since we were little kids. We watch, Bob Cobb and all those guys talking about the Bassmaster Classic. We always want to get there. So last year you qualified for the 2019 Bassmaster Classic. So can you tell us how you qualified and basically what your experience was like down there?
Yeah, so I qualified for the Bassmaster Classic through the Bass Nation Team Trail down on the Harris Chain. And me and my partner fished the first 2 days together and made a big comeback on the second day. We were in, I don't know, like 100th place after the first day. And the second day, we caught a 30-pound stringer and, made a comeback in the second place. And then we split up and he gave me the spot, He kind of left me alone and went and messed around on some other stuff we had, and I ended up winning it by about 25 pounds. And so that's how I made it to the Classic. And man, I'm going to tell you, the Classic, I wish it could be in slow motion because it goes by so fast. Like, everybody dreams of making the Classic, but you don't realize what all it entails. So from start to finish, they have you practice 3 days, and from then on, you pretty much are scheduled to be somewhere every time, every minute of the day, and then you have a half a day where you're not scheduled, and then they still got you somewhere. You're like, oh, dude, I get a half a day to get my tackle ready. No, you're getting ready at midnight, and so I wasn't really used to that, but it was, as far as the fans and the fishing it and going out in front of everybody, I'm going to tell you something, dude. I want to be, like, I know why rock stars want to be rock stars now, going out in front of all those people, that crowd, the lights. I don't get nervous about anything, but I'm going to tell you, whenever I was sitting there in the boat and JD Blackburn and Jay Kumar was there, and I was looking out there, I was like, holy cow, what did I get myself into,
Yeah, so I actually was there, watched it live, and dude, like, you have one of the most iconic come outs ever. The old leopard jacket and smashing water bottles in your face. Like I have to give you credit for it because I wouldn't have the guts to do that, but that would be my personality. Like, I'd be up there doing the same stuff because, again, everybody wants to be there, and you had the opportunity to do it. So first off, I want to congratulate you for doing that, which is awesome. Like I said, from then on, I've been following you, and Nate and I have been talking to you, which is on here now. He actually said, "What's up, fellas?" But first and foremost, one thing I want to ask you is one thing that I've been following you for the past year or so since I saw you at the Classic is you have basically a brand of your own called On 'Em, and I want to know where I can land one of those hats at. Is there some place where I can go buy one of those things?
Yeah. Man, let me walk outside. It's breaking up a little bit.
All right.
And let me go outside here. I'm down in Tennessee at my buddy's place, and I don't get good signal here. Let me walk out here to the truck, and I'll hang out at the truck and talk to y'all.
Yeah, that sounds fine, man. Like I said, whatever.
All right, I got you a lot better now. So what was the question?
So yeah,
what
like I said, since
right?
so basically your brand there on them, your hats and stuff. I've been wanting to pick one up. Where can I go purchase one of those hats? Do you have a website or somewhere I can go grab one of those hats at?
Yeah, you can get them at omniafishing.com or onumfishing.com. They're available at both of them. I've gotten them in some small tackle stores around the country. Fast Break uh, down at Okeechobee in Florida, and a few others. But yeah, Omnia Fishing and onumfishing.com.
All right, yeah. So guys, get out there and purchase some of his apparel if you want, if you would. He's got some really cool, good looking, cool looking hats and stuff. But again, if you guys are just now joining us, we have Matt Robertson joining us. He's actually in Tennessee, but correct me if I'm wrong. You're from Kentucky, normally, right?
Yeah. Right now, I'm about an hour and a half from home. I'm down here helping one of my buddies with a little project he's got going, and just kind of doing that. Work's pretty slow, fishing's slow, so I'm just kind of helping my buddy out this week. So
I got you. So now
yeah,
so we're in
Go
the
ahead.
spring of the in the spring of the year, and right now, so my podcast and my live show is all about anglers like you helping anglers like me learn how to fish a little bit better. And one of the questions that's obviously I wanted to ask you is about the Bassmaster Classic, and I know we could sit here and talk for 2 hours about that because I know it would be an amazing experience and all that stuff. But so right now, again, I'm trying to help myself learn how to catch more bass in the springtime, and one of my biggest, I guess, enemies when it comes to bass fishing is the springtime. I know it's the best time to catch, large pre-spawn female largemouth bass. If you were to like give a top, a technique, and I know you fish Kentucky Lake a lot, but if you were just given an overall technique to catch big bass in the spring, what would you give an amateur? What kind of advice would you give an amateur?
If I was going out just about anywhere, I would probably have to say a spinner bait, a frog, and some type of plastic flipping bait. Maybe something you can just pitch to the bank or flip in, like on Kentucky Lake right now. They're in the bushes, so you'd want like a flipping style bait. Um, man, I like to throw moving baits, so me personally, I'd be going out there with a dog or something like that.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like I am definitely a novice when it comes to fishing Kentucky Lake because I've never been there. But are the Asian carp really having that big of an impact on it? Because I saw the BFL there last year, maybe it was the year before, and only like the top 80, or there was only like 40 some boaters that actually caught fish. Is that a big impact down there with the Asian carp right now?
Yeah, it's really detrimental to the lake. It's killing it. But I will say, I mean, they're doing a good job commercial fishing it, and I'm not. There's still a lot of carp, but I've seen a lot of 2 to 3 pound fish in the lake this year. A lot of 16 inchers, and last year I was seeing a lot of 14 inchers, and now we're seeing them, progress. I've seen a lot of real small fish around the bank, like 4 to 5 inch bass. So I think they had a good spawn last year. Um, but yeah, it's I think that they've really taken a whole impact on the ecosystem. It's not just the bass numbers that are down. It's the big red ear numbers and even the crappie. Guys I know who are phenomenal crappie fishermen here, they are not catching them. They can go out and catch 3 to 10 a day, and normally right now we're catching 30 to 75 a day.
Yeah, so that's one thing that I've been following along with it, and it seems to be like now we're finally getting some politics into play, and I think some of the political leaders are seeing that it is a huge impact on it, and I'm glad of that because Kentucky Lake and Barkley is not extremely far from me. It's about 3.5 4 hours, 5 hour stops probably to Barkley, but and it's not it's something I've always wanted to go fish, but I've heard of people, saying, hey, it's almost like not even fishing the same lake anymore because of the carp. But I see you posted some hammers. I see Kevin Baxter down there still catching them. There's a lot of people still catching them, so I know they're able to be caught. They're still probably in there, but I figure it's probably pretty tough.
Yeah, one thing I have seen transpire on the lake since the Asian carp and the decline in the fishing is the dominance by the shallow water fishing as far as tournaments go. Um, I'm gonna say 7 months out of the year the tournaments are being won shallow. You got a time period from May to middle of June, but to the rest of the year, I mean, you get into August, September, and these guys are going super shallow, flipping, throwing top water, and that's what's winning tournaments the majority of the year. It's changed the aspect of the lake, but I think with these numbers coming back, and I know Kentucky Lake's had a bad rap the last 3 or 4 years because it has been so bad, but it's coming back. I honestly believe that there's a lot of younger fish in the lake, and I went night fishing last weekend, and that's the telltale because they always bite at night, and I absolutely smashed them at night, and I mean, I probably caught 42.5 pounders, and that right there tells me where the fish population's coming.
Yeah, that's awesome. I did see you post on Instagram the other day that that you were going out at night, which is something I've never done. And so, correct me if I'm wrong. Used to be most of the tournaments, again, like you said, is switched, but used to be, especially in the summertime, most of the tournaments were one ledge fishing on Kentucky Lake, correct?
Yeah, man. If you weren't offshore, you weren't competing. I'd say up until 4 years ago, and that was almost year round, except for a real small time period. And like right now, whenever the lake floods and then fish push up to spawn, and they get in the bushes, that's about the only time you can't win offshore. Uh, you'd predominantly be fishing out, and but now the guys, there's a guy here named Drew Boggs, and he's probably one of the best shallow water fishermen I've ever seen, and he's hard to handle down here. He's adapted, and the shallow water's the way to go. I even catch myself easing up there sometimes. I try to stay offshore because that's my cup of tea. Uh, but sometimes I have to go up there and try to pluck out, a couple 4 pounders.
Yeah, I get it. And like I said, that's something I'm now as a bass angler trying to do opposite of you. Is I feel like my bread and butter is fishing anywhere from 10 foot, less water, and fishing places like Lake St. Clair and places where you're 99% of the fish you're going to catch are going to be totally offshore. It's taught me that like 20 feet of water is really not that deep. You know what I mean? If you stand on the front of my 21-foot Stratus and look to the back to the motor, you have to realize that that's nothing to a fish. They can cover that ground in just a few seconds.
Yeah, I've been really working with the getting. I've been using this time this spring to really utilize learning the Garmin Live Scope, and I'm pretty dialed in with it. And one thing I did last weekend, and you'll see it on Kevin Baxter's YouTube channel. We made a show Saturday. Is we were glide bait fishing, and I would see these fish come from 5 to 10 foot deeper. I'd see them come up off a piece of structure, and I told him, I was like, "Dude, I'm fixing to get bit," and they'd come up there and smash that glide bait, and so a fish will travel, like you said, 20 feet in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and that's it's funny that you
So
mentioned about the Garmin Live Scope. Is that I'm actually in the process right now of upgrading the graphs on my boat, and I'm leaning towards Humminbird stuff. I've been a Humminbird guy all my life, but the Garmin Live Scope stuff is definitely has piqued my interest, and it's so daggone hard to choose because one, I'm pretty brand loyal to a lot of stuff, just like anybody else, but I want the stuff that's going to help me catch fish the most. Um, and the live scope is just is crazy awesome. I see that, and like I said, the Humminbird stuff that I'm looking at, it's almost like that you can't pick and choose your favorite. Like you have to almost like do what some of the pros are doing, and that's running multiple brands, like have a Humminbird and Garmin, whatever you can afford. But at that point, you're talking about some serious cash. So you're saying that the live scope stuff is definitely worth the money.
Most definitely. It's I don't know what I would do without it right now, to be honest with you. Um, I'll tell you something that happened to me at Chickamauga last year. I've had it for about a year and a half now, and at Chickamauga last year, I remember my co-angler. His name's Carl Smith. He's from out in South Carolina. I idled over school, turned around, threw a worm out there, started catching them, and I stopped catching them. And I panned around with the live scope, and they moved about 20 degrees to my right, so I started throwing over there, started catching them again. And then I stopped, and I was looking around for them, and I actually looked behind the boat with it, kind of right off the back end. And I looked at my co-angler Carl. I said, "Hey, buddy, so you care to raise up your rod?" He said, "No." And I kind of flipped my worm up under his rod about 30 feet behind the boat and started catching them out from under him. He said, "Dang, dude, that stuff's for real." And I said, "Dude, I'm telling you, it's insane."
Yeah, that's awesome. So
But,
maybe,
but
like I
no,
said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. So, but man, the hummingbird is good stuff too. Okay, I really like the hummingbirds. I have all three on my boat. I have Lowrance's hummingbirds and Garmin's. Um, I like the hummingbird mapping. I run the old Lowrance 10s for the down scan and the side scan. Uh, I like the hummingbird down scan, but I'm not confident enough in it to take my old 10s off. But I will tell you this, I do like the 360. The 360 is the real deal. So I will tell you, the ultimate setup is the Garmin Live Scope with the Humminbird 360, and they will work together. I know, I got it. So the transducers don't interfere; they're on different frequencies, and the reason Garmin has, it's kind of like a 360. It's they call it a pan view or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see everything all the way around my boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
just like all the way around my boat all the time.
Yeah, so that, and like I said, I'm now, like I said, first off, obviously, Matt and I just introduced ourselves half hour ago, but I'm a high school teacher by trade, so it gives me a lot of time to fish in the summertime because I'm off in the summer. And this crazy COVID coronavirus stuff has got the entire world screwed up, and I'm lucky enough to have not be essential. Obviously, I feel like I'm essential, but they're keeping us out of school because of the kids' safety also. But first off, before I go any further, if you guys are out there still working and keeping America on the tracks, I appreciate you guys, each and every one of you guys that are out there in the medical field, keeping us safe. Because without you guys and girls, we couldn't do this, being able to talk with Matt here live. But being a high school teacher, it also puts me on budget constraints. Whereas right now, my YouTube channel is actually picking up some people. I'm about almost 1,900 subscribers, which is about 900 more than I had last year. I'm picking up about 100 a month. So I'm pretty good about that. So my idea is by the end of the year to have 5,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, which will allow me to hopefully be able to supplement my income a little bit to be able to buy that stuff. So the end all goal is, just like you said, to have Humminbird. I'd like to have, do you run Solix or Helix Humminbirds?
I run the Helixes. They're a little more user friendly for me. I mean, I actually have an Onyx on the back, but I have a Gen 3 I got a Gen 3 Helix to replace it with.
Yeah, so I'm seeing a
because
lot of,
they're not compatible.
oh, okay. So I've seen a lot of pros like yourself running the Solix instead of the Helix. I'm a computer engineer. That's what I teach. So, as far as I like the touchscreen version, the Solix as opposed to the Helix. That's the reason I'm choosing there. But again, I feel like that, I should be able to hit that learning curve because again, that's what I do. I'm a computer guy. But so I appreciate your advice there on that stuff. I again, the whole end all game is to have. I'd love to have a 12-inch Solix on my console, a 10-inch Solix on my bow with the Garmin Live Scope, which would be the ultimate. But you're talking, that's about $8,000 worth of graphs there. So I'm trying to work my way there.
Dude, I know the feeling. It's taken me a while to get everything where I'm at. Sometimes I'll put up a little money and I'm like, should I buy this? I buy it, and then the wife's like, "What'd you buy now?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it." So
Yeah,
I gotta
so
stick it around sometimes.
yeah, that's right. That's what you got to do. So, I mean, let's talk about this crazy weekend you had last year in June on Kentucky Lake and Barkley. I assume 2 BFL wins in the same weekend. What, like, hit me up with that, dude? Like, that had to be like, Bassmaster Classic is number one, but that has to be like 2 and 3 right there, winning 2 major tournaments in the same weekend.
Yeah, so I actually need to tell you what happened a couple weeks before that. So I won the Triton tournament, and it's out of Paris, and it's about a 350 boat tournament. And then the next day, that was a $7,000 win. The next day, I fished a $10,000 big bass tournament and won it. That was another 10,000. And then the next weekend, I fished the 2 BFLs and won those back to back. And then the following weekend, I won another one for 11,000 out of Pebble Island on the south end of Kentucky Lake. So those 2 BFLs were mixed in an absolute terror. I think we won. Man, I won somewhere between around 40,000 in a matter of 3 or 4 weekends, and dude, it was wicked. It really was. And you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I did not even want to fish those 2 BFLs. Didn't even want to go. I wasn't gonna fish, and one of my buddies, Gary Singleton, he was like, "Hey, dude," he's like, "I can't." It was a rescheduled one, and he's like, "I got to fish this other tournament I'm in, and I can't get the money back." He's like, "So if you want to fish, you can have the entry fee." I was like, "Well, all right, I'll fish, I guess. Free. He's going to take care of the entry fee. I'll fish." So I get in the thing, and dude, I'm telling you, I did not want to go. I was so tired between work and fishing. Went down there, and I said if I won the first day, I was going to go ahead and fish the second. Well, I went out, and I caught like 22, 23 pounds. I was throwing a Strike King 6XD, a bullworm, and a Scottsboro swim bait. And, dude, I lit them up. I don't know how many. I probably caught 10 or 15 4-pounders. And then the next day, I know, who wins a BFL and don't give a crap about going the next day? It's like I'm probably the only person who wasn't pumped. I was so exhausted. Like Daniel Fennell, the tournament director, he walked over. He was checking my boat numbers and Coast Guard stickers out. He's like, "So you fishing tomorrow?" I was like, "Dude, I don't really want to, but I guess I have to now." He's like, "I feel you," because he was tired too. Putting all them tournaments on. So we went out the next day and had to make a few little adjustments, just different spots, different areas, and I caught them all offshore and won the second one.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, the 2-day Kentucky Lake tournament there that you won just got actually bigger. If you guys just not joining us, he's talking about winning like 40 grand in several months there, several weeks. But dude, I tell you what, that's some stellar fishing. Like I knew you were a hammer, but like you start talking about that stuff. Like, again, you made it to the Bassmaster Classic. Don't get me wrong. That's upper echelon. That's the Super Bowl of bass fishing. But man, if you could put a hammer on people, and I fish with BFL as a co-angler, so they're like, you're not fishing against average Joes and those things. Like, these people are putting in, pro level work. They're doing their due diligence. They're going fishing. They're trying to find the fish. They're doing this stuff, and this dude is freaking hammering them for weeks on end. So, I knew that you were one of the best down there, and that just goes to show, guys, if you can win any BFL or anything like that, that's pretty phenomenal. So that dude, like, kudos for that stuff. That's pretty phenomenal work right there.
I appreciate it, man. It's man, a lot of people don't realize I've been doing this for 20 years. I started fishing tournaments with my grandma whenever I was 11. So so I've paid my dues, to where I'm at, and I'm telling you, if anybody else is out there and they look and they see what's going on with anybody successful in anything, I'm telling you, all you gotta do is work your ass off, and it'll come. I promise. I mean, I'm living proof of it.
Yeah, and so that's one thing that I feel like that I am, like, not not up to par with your fishing ability, obviously, but I feel like that I am where you were at one point, where I'm just, let's just knock it down to what it is. I'm a weekend bass angler. I would love to be able to fish for a living. Again, that's the whole deal. Um, I kind of have to have. I'm weird when it comes to things. Like, as a human being, I have to have a sure thing. So could I quit my job and become a pro fisherman? Well, slim to none. But yeah, like you said, if you get out there and work your tail end off, no matter what you want to do, well, if you want to be a brain surgeon,
Yep.
or you want to be, a NASCAR driver or whatever, just don't throw out racial slurs on TV and you'll be fine. But second off is, like, you work your
Yep.
rear end off, but another thing about it is, something I've learned is that it's all about networking as well. It's all about, like, getting the right people on your side, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta surround yourself with the right people. I will tell you this one thing I've started doing, and it's made me more successful on the water. Is you know I still kind of, everybody talks and they got buddies here and there. And, a lot of people, dude, I get countless calls and texts about wanting help. Hey, can you help me out? Well, I'll tell you one thing I've learned is I've went to different lakes, and I know some guys all around the country. Um, and I've stopped asking for help. I don't call nobody or ask nobody. If I happen to know somebody, um, I may talk to them a little bit, but I'm telling you, I've never had somebody give me help that made a tournament or even close to it. You gotta. I feel like if you're gonna be successful in tournament fishing, you need to rely on yourself. I think ask, whenever you make that phone call and say, "Hey, man, what's going on? Can you help me out?" I think you're subconsciously putting somebody else above your level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you.
They're
It's like, it's
they're
all about trusting your gut and becoming a fisherman that you fish for. And I get that, but I'm just talking about, like, in the fishing industry as a whole, like, gaining sponsors and being able to get, because let's face it,
Oh,
man,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, you face it, like, if you look at, like, what is the BASS, if you look at the Elite Series, what is it, like, $40,000 for entry fees for the year, which is crazy.
Oh, dude, you got to, as far as, yeah, that, I'm sorry, I thought we was on a different base of network there. I'm sorry.
No, we're good. I
But
get you though.
yeah, um, so yeah, you have to. So I'm actually sponsored by Strike King and Lose, and Scottsboro Tackle and Renegade Marine, and I'm gonna tell you, I could have a bunch of patches on my jersey, but I only promote a product I believe in, and man, and they're all good people at all three of those companies. Uh, Great people I work with at all three of them. Renegade, Scottsboro, Strike King, all of them. And I promise you, I could pick up the phone right now and call them and whatever I need. Uh, if I had a flat tire, they help me the best they could.
Yeah, I get that, and like I said, it's just one of those things. So one thing that I always ask all the people that are on my show is, and I'll give you a little bit of preference on or preface on this question, is that I always ask people that are on my show name one bait that they would never go fishing without, and I also to ask them one bait that they think is overrated. For example, my baits are probably never go without Strike King KVD 1.5 in any collar, but I have a collar that it's called Copper Crawl. They don't make it anymore, so let your guys know at Strike King they need to make the Copper Crawl 1.5 back. It's an amazing collar. But my bait that I think is overrated is a Whopper Plopper, and I think everybody on my channel knows that. So again, I'll ask you the same question: if you had one bait that you would never go fishing without, what would it be? And what bait? And name one bait that you think is overrated. It could be any bait of all time.
Oh man, so I gotta tell you, and I'm not just saying this because I'm sponsored by them. I mean, you can watch videos, all of it. I would never leave without a 6 or 7 inch Scottsboro tackle swim bait. Either, and I only throw two colors. That's right, and Old Smoky. That's the only two I throw. I think color's personal preference, but I've won too much money. Overrated, man. I don't want to say the Whopper Plopper just because you said it, but golly, I mean, I think it's a niche bait. I've caught fish on it, but
yeah, I'm with you. So I feel like it has the right place and right time. I'd much rather throw an actual buzzbait if I'm going to throw something like that. I feel like I get bit more. By the way, guys, if you guys are looking to figure out how to buy those Scottsboro tackle swim baits he's talking about, you can check out ScottsboroTackleCompany.com. They're available on there. You can shop on there. Obviously, pick them up. Anything you got there can be on there. Again, their swim baits are available there. Are you talking about the STC swim baits? Is that what you're using? Let's see. All right. So let's see. So again, ScottsboroTackleCompany.com. You can check those out. So guys, if you have any questions right now, we have Matt Robertson online here with us. He is a Bassmaster Classic qualifier, an absolute hammer from Kentucky. We're not going to take up any more of his time. We'll give him about 10 minutes here. We're going to give you guys a chance to answer some questions. Definitely drop them down here. We'll get them out here so you can see it. So again, we're just talking bass fishing, talking about spring bass fishing and stuff. Some of the few things that I've learned today is that I'm going to be picking up some Scottsboro swim baits. I've seen them around, to be honest with you, but I've never seen anybody where I can pick them up. So they're there. If you want to pick up some of Matt's merchandise, onumfishing.com. That's ONEMFISHING, onumfishing.com. Got a lot of stuff on there that you can pick up. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Let's see. We have lost Matt for a second. Wait for him to get back on there. Hopefully we can get him back on here. But if not, I'm sure we'll get him back. But that is again, he's from Cuttawa, Kentucky. The dude is an absolute hammer. Made it in the 2019 Bassmaster Classic down on the Tennessee River. I'm not sure where he placed, but making it there was a phenomenal thing. So if you guys have any questions, drop them down there below. Wait till he comes back on here, and we'll get him access here to answer your questions. Right now we have about 16 people live on YouTube and Facebook. I appreciate you guys joining in. All right, so let's bring him back in. Let's see. All right, Matt, you're back. Can you hear us now, buddy? I think we're having some technical difficulties, man. If you can hear me, first and foremost, probably the service on my end, but I appreciate you being on a part of the show. Like I said, we can't hear you right now, but we'll get you back on here in a few weeks when you get some time in. But if you're ever up here in Southern Ohio and you want to do some fishing, let me know, man. I'd love to go out with you. If you get some free time, you want to do some fishing down your way, I'll make the trip. I'd appreciate it, man. So again, Matt, appreciate you joining us. We ain't gonna be live for very much longer. Thanks for joining us, and I appreciate you spending about 35 minutes with us, man. So like I said, we can't hear you, but we'll see you again. So yeah, we have Matt Robertson there, who is a Bassmaster Classic qualifier, which is awesome. So let's see. Let's see here. So again, guys, thanks for joining us. Talking to Matt Robertson about his opportunities and talking some fishing. If you guys want to be able to get some of his stuff on onfishing.com and go over and check that stuff out, I'd appreciate it. It's all good. So guys, we will see you next time on another line, and we will see. Matt, we got your back. Can you hear now? I still have nothing, man. I don't know what's going on. It's probably Facebook, man. Nothing going on, but it's all good. We tried. It's all good, man. I appreciate you sticking with us. We got a lot of questions to ask you, but we'll see you next time. Guys, again, thanks for joining us here on another line. We'll see you soon, and we'll have Matt back on soon as we get some stuff when he can get home, get some Wi-Fi and stuff, and my end, it could be my end stuff too. So we'll see you next time on another line. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time on another line live. See y'all.